Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Emily Evans. We're joined now by John Henry, the Idea Center's Director of Student Startups. In this role, John oversees Race to Revenue, Notre Dame's Summer Startup Program. John, welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Hey, Emily, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. To get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I caught the entrepreneurial bug when I was in undergrad. So been doing startups ever since. And professionally, if I wasn't doing startups, I was doing consultant. I was a consultant. And so this is a great opportunity for me to do a little bit of combination of both. And started doing both of those in DC, where I met my wife, who is a Notre Dame undergrad. So she kind of pulled me I married into the Notre Dame family and came here for an MBA and graduated here from an MBA in 2015. And after a few years, joined here for startups.
That's great. Tell us a little bit more about your job that you do here. It sounds really fun. What's the best part of it?
Oh, it's the best job. So I would do this for free if I could. And I mentioned a little bit that I get to do consulting and startups, which is what I've done for all my professional life. And for the students, I get to consult them on their own startups. And I get to see them from the very beginning when they come into our student pipeline to the very end when they're launching and raising money and launching and their products are out in the market. And so it's a fantastic experience. I love it. And one of the neatest things about it is that when you find really driven students and you find incredible alumni who have relevant experiences, they form this incredible mentoring bond. And you put a lot of those teams together and they inspire each other. So it's game day like experiences that you get to have these people go into. And they inspire each other. They end up doing incredible things, launching amazing products. And that creates its own culture that has all of these other ripples that go out into the community. So I just love seeing the entrepreneurial culture build from these small teams.
Yeah, could you give us an example or tell us about one of the students you've worked with and what kind of experience they had with you while working at the Idea Center?
Yeah, you bet. So I'll bring a story up about a student. He's a current junior. His name's Adozi, but we saw him when he was starting his sophomore year. And I'll use his story to describe a little bit about how a lot of students can walk through our process. And so any student can come in, they submit an idea online. It doesn't have to be more than a paragraph description. So we sometimes talk about napkin sketch ideas, and that's what we start with. So he had a concept where when he was in high school, he felt it was hard to go around to different high schools and get the straight scoop. And you hear a lot of spin, a lot of pros, but you don't get the cons. So he said, why don't we connect students with current college students and they can build that more balanced pro and con list. So we loved the idea. And one of the things that we were really struck by Adozi was he was an underclassman, but he had recruited several upperclassmen coders, which are the hardest people to build a team around. Lots of people come in and say, I got an app idea. And it's really hard to match them up with coders because there's so much demand. But Adozi did it, and he built an incredible team. Some of those guys are at Google right now. So we kept supporting him. He kept going into more and more exclusive programs. So all of our programs, you have to fulfill an app, you have to complete an application. And he kept doing it, and he kept winning, essentially. So saw him on a Friday pitch, awarded him a little bit of money. We invited him to the evening program. He applied, got in. We saw he did really well with the evening program. We said, why don't you come and join our summer internship called Race to Revenue? He did that. And he was one of 15 teams, and there were more than 3 times that applied. So he distinguished himself just in the application. But over the summer, he was one of the companies that raised a little bit of money at the conclusion of it. And now he's in what we call a student accelerator. And there's only 3 students in that. And so he has just continually advanced through our programming. And so let me just do a quick shout out for Adozi. Like I said, it's to help match high school students with current college students. He's in pilot programming right now in school. So if anybody knows other high schools who would want that type of application system, let me know, jhenry5@nd.edu, and I'll help connect you with Adozi so you can help them out.
That's great. Thanks for doing that shout out for us, John. Can you talk a little bit about other students who are working on their startups at the Idea Center? What's next for them? What's the most exciting thing you're building right now?
Yeah, so I mentioned it with Adozi, is something called Race to Revenue, and that's when students get to go full time into their startups. And one of the things we found out was when students wanted to get really excited about their idea and they would go through the full academic year of programming, they wanted to know what's next for their summer, and maybe they go off and take an internship that they weren't passionate about, but we wanted them working on those because we wanted them moving those ideas as further as possible. So we created a Race to Revenue. If they were going off for other internships, why don't we just create an internship here? And this summer, we've got 40 speakers, and these are alumni who are serial entrepreneurs, they're investors, some of them are local entrepreneurs. We're really excited about this speaker series that we have up. There are 22 teams, actually 23 teams, we just admitted another one, that are in this program. So I'm really excited about these teams getting to work together, and they're our top 5%. So most of them, 2/3 of them, receive a stipend. So they get to be here, get the full campus experience over the summer. But even 1/3 of them just said, I just want to be part of it. And you don't have to pay me, I'll join virtual. So we would love to have admitted them as well, but we're bursting at the seams with demand for this summer program. And that's when a lot of the students jump in full time, they get a fellowship on their resume, and they do incredible stuff.
Really cool stuff happening over there at the Idea Center. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.